Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum dear students. We are in unit number 8, that is the nutrition. So in this unit we have previously discussed about the nutrients present in plants and about the components of human food. So today we are going to discuss about the minerals. So minerals are basically the inorganic elements that are present in the earth. We obtain the minerals from the earth directly because our body cannot synthesize it. Our body cannot manufacture these minerals in it. So we obtain the minerals from the earth. So most of the minerals in the human diet comes directly from plants, animals and water. So now the function of minerals. They play a very important role in various body functions. Now the types of minerals. There are basically two types of minerals on the basis of their usage. The minerals required in the amount of 100 mg or more per day are called major minerals. There are two types of minerals on the basis of their usage, how many amount these minerals are required. So the minerals which are required in high amount are known as the major minerals, and the example of such kind of minerals are sodium, potassium, chloride, calcium, magnesium, phosphorus and sulfur. The second type of minerals are the minerals required in amounts less than 100 mg per day are called trace minerals or minor minerals. And the example of such kind of minerals are iron, zinc, copper, chromium, fluoride, iodine, selenium, manganese and molybdenum. So now we are going to discuss about the role of calcium, which is a very important mineral which is required to our body for the proper functioning. The calcium is one of the most abundant and important mineral in human body. It plays a very important role in the development and maintenance of the bones. It helps to keep our bones healthy and strong. It helps to develop our bones more. It helps to keep our bones strong. If the calcium is not present in proper amount years, so the bones will become weak and soft, and many kind of bones diseases will be occurred to the human body. It is also needed for tooth formation. It helps in blood clotting. It helps in the transmission of nerve impulses. It helps in the muscle contraction. And it also helps in the metabolic activities of the body. So the sources of calcium, the major sources of calcium from which we get the high amount of calcium are the dairy products. So dairy products are the major sources of calcium. Eggs, green leafy vegetables, broccoli, legumes, nuts, grains also provide calcium but in a smaller amounts. So these are basically the sources of calcium. These are the foods from which we get the calcium in a very high amount. So now coming towards the deficiency of calcium. Now what is deficiency? The less amount of calcium. If the calcium is not present in a proper amount, so what will happen then? So the deficiency of calcium causes basically the brittle nails, dry skin, muscle cramping, osteoporosis and rickets. As you can see the brittle nails in the picture as well, dry skin when the skin is completely dry. And osteoporosis, dear, osteoporosis is basically the disease of bones in which the bones becomes hollow, in which the holes occur in the bones of the human body. And rickets is also the disease of bones in which the bones become weak and they are not in a proper shape, in a normal shape. So now coming towards the next, that is the role of iron. So iron is also a very important mineral. Why? Because it is a part of hemoglobin. Iron is a very important mineral because it is a part of hemoglobin. Now what is hemoglobin? Hemoglobin is basically the red pigment which is present in the red blood cells, which helps in the transportation of oxygen to the complete cells of our body. The hemoglobin helps to transport the oxygen to the whole body. So iron is a part of hemoglobin which helps the transportation of oxygen. So it is a part of hemoglobin, helps red blood cells to transport oxygen to the cells of the body. It also helps the immune and central nervous system. Now coming towards the sources of iron. The main sources are the red meat, fish, beans, dried fruit, green vegetables and apples. These are basically the sources of iron which are also shown over here in this picture. Now the deficiency of iron. When the iron is not in a proper amount, so what are the conditions which are caused to the human body? So the low iron level can cause anemia. So now basically anemia, dear, it is a condition in which the amount of red blood cells or hemoglobin decreases below the normal level. In this condition, the blood's ability to carry oxygen is lowered and the patient feel weakness and tiredness. How? Because if the amount of red blood cell is lowered, so how will be the proper amount of oxygen will be transported? So if the amount of red blood cell is lowered, so it means the less amount of oxygen will be transported to the cells. Now coming towards the dietary fibers. Now what are dietary fibers? They are also known as roughage or bulk. Basically they are the part of human food which is indigestible. They are the part of human food which do not help in the growth of human body like other components of food. The other components like proteins, vitamins, minerals, carbohydrates. These are required to the human body for their proper growth. But dietary fibers do not help in the growth of the human body, but they help in other functions of the human body. It is indigestible because it consists of cellulose, and cellulose is indigestible in the human body. It is found in vegetables, fruits and cereals. It moves unaltered through digestive system. Now unaltered means unchanged. It is not changed when it is moving through the digestive system. It speeds up the passage of food through gut. It reduces the risk of constipation and colon cancer. It absorbs cholesterol and controls its level. How? We will discuss it now. These are basically the fibrous fruit in which the fibers are present in a very high amount. So these foods are very necessary to your body. Why? You will know it now. There are basically two types of fibers. First one is the soluble and insoluble fiber. So soluble fibers are basically the type of fibers which break down as it passes through digestive tract. We have said that they are indigestible. They move unaltered, but there are some kind of fibers which break down when it moves through a digestive tract. And whenever it is break down, it forms a gel-like structure. And that gel traps the harmful substances of our body, and those harmful substances are the cholesterol, the fats present in our body. So whenever the cholesterol is absorbed by these soluble fibers, so that cholesterol will be excreted out from our body. Is it so or not? So our body will be free of cholesterol and we will not be having any kind of heart diseases or any obesity conditions. We will not face the obesity conditions then. So oats, beans, barley and many fruits and vegetables are the examples of soluble fibers. Now the second one is the insoluble fiber, the type of fibers which does not dissolve in water and travels through small intestine quickly. The example of such kind of fibers are wheat bran, whole grain, bread, cereals as well as skin of many fruits and vegetables. Now these are the types of fibers, the soluble and insoluble fibers which is shown over here in this picture. So these are the food in which the soluble and insoluble fibers are present. So now coming towards the water. As we all know that water is present in a very high amount, in abundant amount in the whole universe. And without water, there will be no life on this universe. So water is the most abundant substance in the human body as well. They are also present in a high amount in the human body. About 70% of our body constitutes of water. The remaining 30% are the other substances. So the function of water in the human body is that it acts as a solvent for metabolic reactions. It acts as a solvent for metabolic reaction. It dissolves oxygen from lungs. Oxygen is transported to cells. How it dissolves oxygen? Whenever we inhale the oxygen and it is passed to the lungs, then from the lungs, the water present in the body absorbs the oxygen from the lungs and transports it to the whole body cells. And the carbon dioxide is transported from cells to the lungs in the same way as it transported the oxygen from the lungs to the whole cells. So now the function of the water. Every cell is bathed with interstitial fluid, which is water. We know that in each and every cell, in between the cells, some interstitial, some internal fluid is present, which is basically the water. It also acts as a reactant in metabolic reaction, for example, hydrolysis. Now, what is hydrolysis? Hydro means water, lysis means breakdown. So, hydrolysis is basically the process of breakdown of water. So, hydrolysis is a type of reaction which is occurring in our body. So, in that reaction, the water acts as a reactant. It is also a great stabilizer of body temperature. How it is a great stabilizer? It stabilizes the body. It normalizes the body temperature. Whenever the body temperature rises up, so by different activities, the water lowers the body. The water normalizes the body temperature as it absorbs and releases heat slowly. How? It releases the heat slowly with the help of sweating. Whenever the sweating occurs, the body temperature lowers down. Whenever the sweating occurs, so the body temperature normals. So that's how the water stabilizes the body temperature. It also acts as a lubricating medium. Water is a flushing medium for toxic materials. It acts as a lubricating medium. It also acts as a flushing medium for toxic materials. Now, what are the toxic materials? The poisonous materials present in our body. For example, urea. The extra poisonous material present in our body, which is excreted out from the body with the help of kidneys. So the water flush out these materials, these toxic materials, through the kidney from the body. Now coming towards the water usage. So we know that an average person requires about 2 liters water per day. So water is lost through skin, lungs and kidneys, and easily replaced by drinking water or eating moist food. Whenever the water is lost from our body, so in the same way, we replace the water by drinking water or eating moist food again. So we replace the water very easily. But when an excess amount of water is lost from the body and we do not replace that amount of water, so a type of condition occurs which is known as the dehydration, in which the water levels becomes very low. So the loss of excess water, if excess water is lost, so this condition is known as the dehydration. And water moves from extracellular spaces to the blood, then from the internal spaces of the cells to the upper surface of the blood. So thank you so much, dears. I hope you all will understand. You all have understand this lecture very well. I have done my best to explain it to you. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.